it's always there. I grew up with very supportive parents, and I don't think, and very, you know, a great women in my life, a great male figure in my life, and I never once felt this kind of feeling of I can't do something because of my gender. My mother and grandmother didn't let me have Barbies as a kid, and I do remember being like, that's super unfair, and going to, you know, a friend's house and seeing all of these, but at the same, and kind of being mystified by all of the accoutrements of this, you know, crazy plastic figure. But in hindsight, then I feel relieved that I never had this burden of how to start being. I never had to really think too much about like, who am I versus like, what am I supposed to be? It wasn't really until I got my first, you know, out of college job, and I moved to Japan, and I worked for a English language publishing company. And it was really fascinating to receive a list of things I had to do. I was told by my boss that I didn't wear enough makeup, and, you know, and to be in a workplace where women kind of kept their eyes downcast, and to see this very clear kind of distinction and hierarchy, and it was such a wake-up call for me. And then that was kind of a catalyst for thinking about, well, have I seen this before? Obviously it's not just Japan where this is happening, and to start thinking more deeply about, you know, events which are now very in your face from Me Too movements, but like, what about high school? You know, what were the, you know, all of those things that maybe didn't necessarily affect me directly, but just thinking about slut shaming and, you know, all of these things which just start at such an early age, and that was the very conscious time. So I'd say it was, you know, when I was like 21, where it was like, this is something that shouldn't be happening. So when I think about feminism, I think also about the body, and you know, post-gender, I'm not necessarily like a cyborg manifesto envisioning society, but the body is still, we have to always kind of come back to the body. In certain societies, the autonomy of the individual is greater and less. And for so many women, decisions are made based on the household and based on the idea that a family respectability is tied to the woman's body. And now we might think that, like, in the West, we're beyond that. And I think marriage becomes a very tangible example in which actually you are the bearer of your family. And so even if you have a very forward-thinking family, even if everybody in your future partner's family, and I mean, these would be heterosexual relationships, but even if your partner's family is, oh yeah, we love that she's career-oriented and everything, nevertheless, it's all about, it becomes about reputations, and then you become the manifestation of that reputation. And I think that is like the scariest thing, and something that you don't actually ever understand the extent of it until you start that process. And the ways in which the state, culture, everybody sort of can't give up certain traditions. And from a very individual perspective, that tension between feeling the need for various reasons to have that label. Maybe it's, so one person can live in the country. Maybe it's just so that you can share, future retirement, and, be on somebody else's healthcare. Like, these are all very logical reasons for having that title. But the way in which you give up certain freedoms is very, very subtle, but very effective in how you think about yourself.